I got some news here. This is breaking news, yo. This is breaking news, but let's get right to it. Breaking news, and this is from Music Tech, and I have a couple other sources, but Native Instruments enters preliminary insolvency. What does that mean? That means this is the step before bankruptcy. And hey, don't take it from Music Tech. Let's go to another source. Let's go here to Creative Digital Music. Right? And this is a pretty big publication too. They also said the same thing. And let's go to another source, just so you know that it's not, fake news. That's such a weird term, fake news. But this is Music Radar. Again, Native Instruments is in preliminary insolvency. Again, the step before bankruptcy. Now, we know that Francisco Partners, a private equity firm, acquired Native Instruments. I think it was in 2020, 2022, something like that. And we also know that Native Instruments is Native Instruments, Traktor, iZotope, Brainworks, and also Plug-in Alliance. So basically, the other thing they're saying here is, let me just come out of here. The other thing they're saying is that, so because they're in preliminary insolvency, that these companies, they have to sell off some of these companies because insolvency basically means that you don't have the funds to pay your debts. So basically, you don't have the, like if you made, like for instance, if they came out with the MX2, right? So maybe there was a company that actually manufactured the MX2. They may not have the funds to pay that company, right? And see, that's what I'm saying, right? And and the other thing was I did a short basically talking about is Traktor dead? And someone left a comment. They were like, oh, well, and then like a couple weeks later, they came out with the MX2 and they were like, oh, this video isn't, showing too well or whatever, right? And I'm just like, yo, that's just my opinion. And again, that I talk a lot of smack on Native Instruments, but the reason why I talk a lot of smack on Native Instruments is because I want products from Native Instruments. I want software, I want hardware. So where does that go now? And here's the other thing. So I think Den and DJ was also owned by private equity, and then Music Brands bought them. So what does these private equity firms do? They generally come in, take out what they can, load the company up with debt, and then sell it off into pieces, right? So who knows? We may have Native Instruments Traktor sold. We may have iZotope separately sold. We may have Plug-in Alliance separately sold, Brainworks separately sold, the music production side of Native Instruments separately sold. Now I got wind of this because Bolo, the producer, basically posted a video. And I was like, well, I got to pop on, how often is it that I post a video on a Tuesday, right? So is it Tuesday? Yes, it's a Tuesday. I don't know. I've been shoveling snow for the last 2 days, and I'm still not done. Wow. So this is really interesting, and it's also kind of sad because we don't know exactly what's going to happen. This is all happening in Germany. So we don't know what the court system is like there when it comes to companies filing preliminary insolvency. What's next is bankruptcy. So I don't know if this is like a reorg bankruptcy or whatever. A lot of times you go into bankruptcy, so you can work out arrangements with people you owe money to, people you have debt to, companies you have debt to. So I don't know what this is all about. I don't know, but I do know this. I do know that everything that I've been saying, and I'm not proud of this. I mean, I'm just, talking like I talk, right? That, hey, you know what, Native Instruments, there's a reason why, a lot of things have been like breaking and, you haven't been like really pumping up like the releases, the software updates. fixing the Native Instruments 88 key keyboard, coming out with a more professional, DJ controller. And you also have to consider the fact that Native Instruments was nowhere to be found when it came to NAMM. Nowhere. They had no products, and I released the Sunday brunch talking about this, and then someone was saying like, oh, they generally release during this other conference in Germany. Like, I forget the name of it, Music Must or whatever. I don't know the name of this company or this conference. But after reading up on it, I mean, that conference doesn't exist anymore based on what I read. So where's the MX4? And are they going to, now that we know that they are insolvent, right? Are they going to release any new products? The biggest debt that they have is operations, paying people. So we do know, like, when Francisco Partners acquired them, the co-founder of Native Instruments, president, the CIO, whatever, all those people left, right? And then they brought on some other people. It was just a big shuffle, right? People coming in, people coming out. I think the latest CEO is like a DJ, but what kind? I mean, are you a DJ from like the 50s and you don't understand like DJ stuff now? Because we need stuff, right? We need stuff. Wow, this is some really interesting news. Now, let's talk about this for a hot second, right? We're going to talk about this for a hot second. Let's say that Francisco Partners is actually looking to sell off parts of Native Instruments because they possibly can't sell the entire thing. Native Instruments, Traktor, iZotope, Brainworks, Plugin Alliance. A company may not want all of that. A company may just want like iZotope, or a company may just want like Brainworks or Plugin Alliance or Traktor. So who's going to acquire Native Instruments or its parts? Bolo was basically saying he thinks music brands would buy it. It's possible. The other thing you should realize is like a lot of these music technology companies, they're like sub $50 million companies. These aren't like $1 billion companies, right? These are sub $50 million companies. Now, whatever a company, thinks it wants to pay to acquire that company is totally different. Remember, like when Alpha Theta was trying to acquire Serato, I think they had a $100 million bid on the table. But I think Tiny Limited up in Canada, I think they bought it for like maybe, I think $50 or $60 million, something like that. And again, that doesn't necessarily mean that the company is worth or was making $50 or $60 million, because if it were making $50 or $60 million, then, the price tag would be double that, $120 million. So let's assume that Serato was making $25 million and they were acquired for $60 million, $50 or $60 million. Native Instruments, who will Native Instruments be acquired by? Music brands is, you have to put them on a list because they are a little aggressive when it comes to acquiring things. But like, what are they going to acquire? Are they going to acquire all of Native Instruments, or are they going to require parts of Native Instruments? Maybe they want the Plugin Alliance, and then add that into, Akai or iZotope. The plugins for music brands will be kind of cool because then they can just like integrate those into the Akai sort of workflow. What about Traktor? Music brands with Traktor, I don't know what the code base is like with Traktor. I do know that, they don't, in terms of like, just what all the other DJ software companies are doing, they are totally different. Like they don't have like all the music streaming services integrated with Traktor. They only have Beatport, and it's just like, why do they only have Beatport? What's going on there? What sort of partnership do they have? And how can they detangle that sort of partnership if they want to sell off, you know, Traktor by itself? Again, in music brands, when it comes to Traktor, I don't think so. I don't think so. Traktor is hardware and software. So let's think about some companies who may need hardware and software, or at least can integrate both of them. I want to first start off with, DJ Pro, Algorithms DJ Pro. Imagine, and I said this in one of my Sunday brunches, imagine if we took the Traktor S8, rezhuzhed it, and then, it was a controller that had the ability to control every single aspect of DJ Pro, because that's what DJ Pro needs. DJ Pro needs a DJ controller that can control every aspect of this powerful DJ software. And there is not, a controller that can really do that. Who else? Maybe Reloop. Again, these are two boutique sort of companies, Reloop and Algorithms DJ Pro. Right now, Reloop does not have software. So they're always, creating partnerships and things like that with DJ Pro, Serato, all that stuff, right? So imagine if Reloop had the software, and they would also get the hardware component of it as well, right? Excuse me. Maybe that will give them the ability, or at least they can start thinking about creating DJ hardware that's standard and not mirrored, and all the controls are in these weird sort of locations, I think that's the thing that's sort of like holding Reloop back, even though they make some like clever sort of like pieces of hardware. It's just like, okay, well, what about the software? Who else? You know what? So the company that acquired Serato, Tiny Limited, up in Canada, they said, hey, we're going to acquire Serato and we're going to let them do what they do. Let's let Serato cook. I'm not trying to come in here and do anything, right? So imagine if they say, hey, you know what? They looked at the books. They see exactly what's going on. And then they say, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and acquire, Native Instruments. I am pretty sure. Well, I'm not going to say I'm pretty sure, but I can't imagine Native Instruments being worth $100 million plus. I just can't imagine that. I mean, like in the music production space, people are still waiting for the new machine. Where is it? I have the Machine Studio over there. It's been on that shelf as a brick for like almost 7 years. Yeah, so, and what about, okay, now here's my creme de la creme, acquisition. What if Apple acquired Native Instruments, all of it? Because, they got the guap. Apple has the guap. They don't need to say, okay, we'll take that, They can take Native Instruments whole, right? And say, you know what? We're going to now use all of those plugins from iZotope, Brainworks, and Plugin Alliance, and we're going to integrate that with Logic. We're going to integrate that with Final Cut Pro. And the other thing we're going to do is, and we're going to also like integrate all of these sort of Native Instruments, like Native Instruments, native, music production stuff, all the like hardware and the software. Maybe not the software, but maybe they'll like say, hey, we're going to take the machine and we're going to reintegrate that or reprogram it so that it works exclusively with Logic Pro. And then now let's talk about Traktor and Apple, right? So they bought Apple's going to possibly may acquire, let's just say that if Apple acquired Native Instruments. So they're going to take all the music production stuff, put it into Logic Pro. And then they're going to say, hey, you know what? Now let's take this DJ software Traktor. They'll see like the schematics on the hardware. And then they're going to add like the Apple magic on top of that, say, hey, you know what? Let's design this a little differently, right? I think like, listen, if Apple wanted to like acquire Native Instruments and go all in on this like music production stuff, which they are, I think that would be a much better acquisition because I just think that Apple would know what to do with it. Um, and I also think Tiny Limited would be a really good acquisition. I'm not quite sure if in music brands acquired Native Instruments, what would happen. Why would they need the DJ stuff? I mean, I can see why they want a Serato DJ because it integrates with any and everything. You know, Traktor is its own thing. It integrates with itself. It's proprietary. And that's probably the thing that's like really killing, you know, Native Instruments is because, you know, you're trying so hard with Traktor to be this like exclusive boutique brand that, you know, all the other sexiness of like what's happening in the DJ space in terms of hardware and software, you're being left behind. You're saying, hey, we got a software, DJ software, but if you want true streaming service, we think it's Beatport, so you can only use Beatport. We can't integrate Apple Music with Traktor for whatever reason. Maybe there's like some contractual obligation, whatever, right? They had Spotify, they don't, they do, Tidal, all this other stuff is just like, but why Beatport? What's that contract like? What does that contract look like? There's a contract in place somewhere, you know? And the other thing is this before I get up out of here. You know, again, I did a video saying basically that Traktor was dead. And then someone left a comment saying, you know, like, oh, you know, this isn't going to live too well because they came out with the MX2, right? I stand by that video. And I'm going to say this again, me as a person who has worked in technology for over 20 years, right? I've seen a lot of stuff. I've seen a lot of companies come and go. I've seen a lot of companies get acquired and then just like put on a shelf. Like, hey, I like that little part of your software. I'm going to take that little part of your software and then I'm getting rid of that software and I'm going to integrate that little functionality in our software. Look at Presonus and Fender. Fender acquired Presonus and now they rebranded Studio One, which is what they should have done. They own the company, you know what I'm saying? You know, so we don't know where Presonus is going to go, but if Presonus goes bye-bye, then we kind of pretty much know why, because they acquired it and we want this to be Fender, not Presonus. Look at, there's a website called Everything Google Killed or something like that, right? And it lists hundreds of companies. Let me see if I can find it here. I have to find this just to let you guys know, guys and girls know. Let me see if I can find it here. Let me see here. Okay, so this is killed by Google. And over the years, they even, I mean, you can even, right now they have it, right now it stands at 299 products. That's what it stands at, 299 products. Google killed Jamboard, VPN by Google One, Chromecast, Dark Web Reports. This is everything that Google acquired or built and like basically like killed. There are a lot of companies here that they acquired and they just killed because they're just like, hey, you know what? There are reasons why companies buy other companies, acquire other companies, and then kill them. Remember, like way back in the day, there was a software called Bump. And this was like early Apple, you know, iPhone days. And the technology basically said that this is how the technology worked regardless, right? If you had the app, they had the app, right? You can touch phones and then whatever data you wanted to transfer over would transfer over just by bringing the phones close together, bumping them. The software was called Bump. And I think, I don't know what happened, maybe Google and, you know, Apple got together, but they basically said, hey, you know what? It was acquired and then it was defunct. And now Apple has a technology like that. It's called AirDrop. You see what I'm saying? So it's just like, whatever it is you think that, or whatever the reason you think a company is being acquired is so much more. It's just not like that. Definitely when it comes to softwares and hardware and things like that, right? So this is kind of a sad day because we don't know where Traktor is going. And if you look at like sort of Reddit, you know, people swear by the S4, like the S4 is the best controller. Like if, you know, some were even saying like if Traktor came out with the MK4, it's probably not going to be as good. I'm sorry, the MX4 is probably not going to be as good as the S4. Like a almost 10-year-old device. This is this is where people are. You know what I'm saying? Like a brand new device isn't going to be better than a 10-year-old device. So looking for that MX4, and I told you, like, you know what, I wasn't buying any gear. I want to buy gear because I'm trying to put together a modular DJ setup, but I was like, hey, I'm going to wait until Traktor comes out with the MX4 because they will probably come out with some other modular DJ gear, right? And I don't think I have to wait for that. I think I have to now look at other manufacturers and try to build my modular DJ setup based on what's readily available and based on companies that aren't about to like file for bankruptcy. So, well, anywho, I just wanted to come on and let you know about the bad news. Traktor Native Instrument is in preliminary insolvency, which means they are about to file for bankruptcy. Or it could also mean that, well, it definitely means that they don't have the money to pay for their debts. Insolvency means that they just don't have the money. Watch the space. We will see. I'm going to keep an eye on this. I'll leave the links for all the articles in the show description. Until next time, peace.